It's generally accepted that going to prison is one of the worst things that can happen to a person, but some countries take a different view. There, they believe that the best rehabilitation results can be achieved by treating prisoners like people. For example, if a person has gone down the wrong path in freedom, leading an antisocial lifestyle, prison should make them human, not the other way around. In this video, we'll look at the world's most unusual prisons, which are radically different from most similar institutions. San Pedro Prison. Right in the heart of the mountain city of La Paz, in western Bolivia, at an altitude of 3,500 meters in the Andes, lies San Pedro Prison, one of the most famous and bizarre institutions of its kind in the world. San Pedro Prison has no administration in the traditional sense of the word, so no accurate statistics are kept about the institution. It is known that about 1,500 people are held here, approximately 75% of whom are awaiting trial. 80% are here on charges related to drug trafficking. San Pedro is unique in that it is literally a society within itself, and even more intriguingly, the prison is run by the prisoners themselves. San Pedro Prison has guards only from the outside. The guards' sole purpose is to ensure that no one escapes, which means that the prisoners are largely left to look after themselves. The prisoners have created a functioning society within the prison walls, many of whom live with their wives and children. It all resembles an ordinary town. Vendors prepare freshly squeezed juices, grilled chicken spins in the ovens, and most of the prisoners simply relax, playing billiards, chess, cards, or checkers. There is a gym, a hairdresser, a swimming pool, a temple, and a kindergarten. You can even get a specialized education. Those who wish to study at an institute can do so by correspondence. If it weren't for the high walls around the perimeter, there would be nothing to indicate any restriction of freedom. San Pedro today is the only prison in the world that is a closed city. There are no cells inside, ordinary buildings, courtyards, and narrow streets. The prison is divided into 8 sectors, each with its own name and leaders, who form the overall prison council. The authorities have little interference in internal affairs, so one could say that San Pedro is formally a democracy. The sectors vary in prestige, but each sector has its own football team. Matches are taken extremely seriously, and you can even make money betting on them. Rumor has it that the monthly turnover of prison bookmakers reaches $20,000. What's surprising is that prisoners must pay for their own accommodations. Depending on their financial means, they can choose various conditions. Some live in one-room cells, but most prefer cheaper housing, dorms with multiple beds. Incidentally, outside the prison, there are quite a few people who want to be in it, as housing in the prison is cheaper than in the city outside the prison. The most luxurious sector of La Posta prison is the section where drug lords live in luxury apartments that come with private bathrooms, jacuzzis, kitchens, and cable TV. Accommodation at La Posta costs between $1,000 and $1,500, and not many people can afford to live there. San Pedro has its own economy. Inmates can be shopkeepers, food vendors, pastors, barbers, carpenters, shoe shiners, and some even run cocaine labs. Bolivia is still one of the leaders in the cocaine market. It is said that the purest cocaine in the country is produced and sold inside the prison. Since the 1990s, San Pedro has become the country's main tourist attraction and is visited illegally by thousands of tourists from all over the world. Often, foreigners were brought to prison for reasons other than cultural interest, so tours were banned in 2009. Justizentrum Leoben Prison, Austria. In 2005, a remarkable prison opened in Austria, and it currently serves as a model European prison center. The building was designed by one of Austria's leading construction firms, which specializes in luxury hotels. From the outside, it's easy to mistake it for a 5-star hotel or business center. The interior resembles the rooms in a decent student dorm, and the exercise rooms resemble high-end fitness centers. The overall idea was that imprisonment leads to desocialization, so the prison needed to be designed to mimic life outside its walls as closely as possible. The furnishings and appliances are from premium brands, and the hallways are beautifully decorated with contemporary art. This is expected to allow prisoners to seamlessly reintegrate into society. Bastøy Prison is Norway's most desirable prison, reminiscent of a children's camp or a lakeside resort in its conditions. Norway has always been known for its truly humane correctional system. Small, cozy houses with cells for prisoners, located right on the shore of a bay surrounding an island, fresh air, and a magnificent view, it would seem that what more could one need to rethink the essence of one's dishonest existence? But the excellent service at this prison is a mere fraction of that. The buildings resemble gingerbread houses in the Art Nouveau style, giving the impression of a classic Norwegian cottage community rather than a prison. Such architectural and design solutions have a beneficial effect on the socialization of criminals. In the prison's entire history, there has never been a single riot or clash between prisoners and guards. This is not surprising, as many had worse lives before entering prison. Bastøy Island, located just an hour's drive from Oslo, this picturesque spot is accessible only by boat. It has several beaches, tennis courts, and even a sauna. The prison on this island houses murderers, rapists, drug dealers, and swindlers. They are re-socialized by working in the forest, in the garden, and with pets. The Norwegian Ministry of Justice recently completed a 10-year experiment in free housing of prisoners at the prison on Bastøy Island. The experiment was deemed a success, and now similar institutions may appear in other parts of the country. Instead of being behind bars, 115 prisoners of this amazing prison live in comfortable houses. The author of this experiment was the Norwegian scientist and criminologist Nils Christie. His theory is that every crime has two victims, the one who suffered from it and the one who committed it. And the criminal deserves not only punishment, but also re-education, the same re-socialization. Today Bastøy is called the Island of Freedom for prisoners. The most brutal criminals, by Norwegian standards, are kept here. In the 11 years of the prison's existence, only 5 people have escaped from the island, 3 of whom confessed, and 2 were caught and sent to prisons on the mainland, which the escapees later regretted many times. As for the prison regime, the main duty of each prisoner is work. Everyone has a job, where they must be from 8:30 to 15:30. But there is a 2-hour lunch break. Prisoners receive a daily wage of $10 and can spend the money on groceries at the local store, thus providing themselves with breakfast and dinner as desired. Each prisoner has their own room and is free to move around the island, doing their own business, playing sports, or simply sitting on the shore with a fishing rod or surfing the internet. Agriculture and forestry are believed to be the best way to knock the stupidity out of a person. The island is home to 45 sheep, 22 cows, 10 horses, 230 chickens, and 20 rabbits. There are also plots of potatoes, vegetables, and raspberries. Having one's own land is also an important element of self-sufficiency in food. One of the factors that made the island prison experiment a success for the Ministry of Justice was the 2.5-fold reduction in the cost of incarcerating prisoners compared to other Norwegian prisons. To ensure maximum effectiveness, drugs and alcohol are prohibited on the island, urine tests for drugs are periodically administered, and violations result in transfer to a prison on the mainland. At the highest point of the hill overlooking the city of Volterra in the Italian province of Pisa, stands the Medici fortress. For 5 centuries, this fortress has been used by the Italians as a maximum security prison, and by the way, there has never been a single escape in its entire history. And what have the Italians come up with to attract tourists? In 2006, the prison administration began an experiment in the rehabilitation of prisoners. They converted an ancient 15th-century chapel located on the prison grounds into a restaurant, where the entire staff, chefs, waiters, administrators, cleaners, are prisoners serving time in this prison, who are trained by experienced employees of Italian restaurants. There is even a pianist in this restaurant, who, in his free time, is serving a life sentence for murder. It would seem questionable service in the company of criminals, but surprisingly, tables must be reserved well in advance of the visit. The place quickly gained popularity thanks to its beautifully prepared dishes and excellent service. However, visiting this, arguably the most exclusive restaurant in the country, comes with its own set of inconveniences. Customers are screened beforehand and upon arrival, and all cutlery is made of plastic. Despite this, it's a rather expensive restaurant, and not every tourist can afford it. In 2017, a new prison, dubbed the most comfortable in the world, opened in Denmark. The facility, called Storstrøm, features a church, gardens, designer bathrooms, and many other amenities that many ordinary, innocence-free people lack. The architecture of this prison sanatorium is aimed at supporting the mental and physical well-being of its inmates and ensuring safe and pleasant workspaces for staff. It resembles a university more than a prison for various crimes. Construction of this facility took 5 years and cost £100 million. The architect of the most humane maximum security prison said his creation, a luxurious place of detention with spacious bedrooms, manicured lawns, and modern kitchens, is designed to reduce the likelihood of reoffending. Storstrøm prison can hold 250 inmates in rooms each equipped with a refrigerator, a 22-inch TV, a large window, and a wardrobe. Each inmate has a comfortable bed, a desk with a reading lamp, a private bathroom, and a share of the communal kitchens where they can prepare their own meals. Inmates have access to a vast area, approximately the size of 18 football fields, featuring sports fields and manicured lawns for walking. Philip Zimbardo's Stanford Prison Experiment. It has long been observed that peculiar biased relationships develop between prisoners and guards, with some enjoying complete power and others being deprived of any rights. This often leads to abuse of power, and human relationships cease to be human. To understand this issue, a unique experiment was conducted at Stanford University in 1971. To study social psychology in prison settings, the researchers invited undergraduate students to role-play as guards or prisoners. Over 70 applicants responded to the advertisement. All volunteers underwent testing to eliminate candidates with psychological problems, criminal records, or drug abuse. Ultimately, 24 students from the United States and Canada were selected. Participants were randomly assigned to serve as prisoners or guards and were told the conditions of the 2-week experiment. The prison itself was set up in the basement of Stanford's psychology department. To create the prison cells, the doors from the laboratory rooms were removed and replaced with specially made bars and cell numbers. A basement corridor served as a yard and the only place where the prisoners were allowed to walk, eat, or exercise. When the makeshift prison was fully prepared to receive its inmates, the participants staged a mock arrest. The criminals were arrested by the police and taken to the jail, where they were stripped, searched, and uniformed. Guards were given sticks, handcuffs, whistles, and cell keys. Their responsibility was to maintain law and order. Certain rules were imposed on the prisoners. They were to remain silent, eat and rest only at designated times, address each other by number, and refer to the guard as Mr. Officer. Violating the rules was punishable. The relationship between guards and prisoners quickly assumed a classic character. The guards began to regard the prisoners as inferior and dangerous beings. The prisoners viewed the guards as bullies and sadists. One guard remarked, "I was surprised at myself. I called them offensive names, forced them to clean toilets with their bare hands. I treated them like cattle and had to keep an eye on them just in case they tried to do anything." By the 5th day of the experiment, the prisoners wanted to stop this injustice and refused to continue, but they had been warned in advance that the experiment would last 2 weeks, so the rebellion was suppressed, and the prisoners became obsessed with global injustice. The rapid development of sadism among the guards was noticed by the guards themselves. One guard, who considered himself kind and non-aggressive before the experiment, wrote in his diary on the 5th day, "I deliberately chose my former classmate to insult because I simply didn't like him. Before, under equal conditions, He simply couldn't have allowed himself to do such a thing. This prisoner refused to eat. A guard decided to make up for it by smearing food all over his face. The guard wrote in his diary, "I couldn't believe I did it. I hated myself for what I did, but I hated him even more." The experiment's organizer, Philip Zimbardo, didn't expect such a rapid transformation in each group of volunteers. On the 6th day, the researchers were forced to end the experiment early, for the benefit of everyone involved. Documentaries and books have been made about this experiment. It is considered one of the most famous and macabre experiments conducted by scientists in the field of psychology in the 20th century. Well, that's all for today. Thank you all for watching. If it was interesting, support the video with likes, thank you for subscribing, and take a look at what else we have prepared for you.